Good afternoon, dear students. I request everyone to sit in a prayerful posture. We start our class with God's blessing. God, shower your abundant blessing upon each one of us. As today we are going to start a new chapter. God, give us strength, knowledge, and better understanding so that all the students can understand the topic well and pay attention in today's class. Thank you, God, for this class. God, be with us. Amen. Once again, a very good afternoon to all. Students, today we'll start our new topic of history, lesson 10, trade and contact with distant lands. Trade means business. In previous chapter, we were talking about the King Ashoka, how he conquered the territories and after that spread Buddhism. So now trade relationship with distant countries. So since ancient time, India had a strong relationship with distant countries, means they were doing trade with distant countries, means outsides of a country. And through this, the Buddhism, at that time the Buddhism had spread. So how they were doing the trade with the distant countries and how the Buddhism spread. So we'll talk about in this chapter, trade and contact with distant countries. Trade and contact with distant lands. So such as Buddhism we have talked about in previous chapter, and with that, when the outsiders came in our country for trade purpose and few people came to study about our country India, and they had written in their books accounts about India's history. So all these material are taken from these resources. So as we have already talked about the disintegration of the Mauryan Empire, we have talked about the Mauryan Empire when it broke into small parts, and when it had broken and risen of several small dynasties, small kingdoms, the Indo-Greeks, Sakas, Parthians and Kushnas, these are the small dynasties ruled in North and Northwest India, and the Stavanas were the main rulers in the Deccan South India, was ruled by the Cholas, Sheras and Pandya dynasties. So today we'll talk about the post-Mauryan dynasties of North India, which were the Mauryan dynasties, and how they established trading contact with the outside of the world, with the foreign countries, we can say, and how Buddhism spread during this period, and how the concept of bhakti had spread. So we'll talk about first Indo-Greeks. We have talked about the Indo-Greeks Sakas, Pathanias and Kushnas. We'll talk about Indo-Greeks. See, the Indo-Greeks occupied a large part of northwestern regions of India in the first half of the 2nd century. One of the most famous Indo-Greek ruler was Mendir or Melinda. Mendir or Melinda. So they replaced Indo-Greeks under the Greeks of a new school of art known as Gandhara school, developed at Gandhara in the style of the images of Buddha and Bodhisattva shown the clear Greek literature. As you know, in the Mauryan period, the Greek came to India for the business purpose and settled. Few of them had settled here only. So they helped, they gave their contribution to open their schools of art known as Gandhara school. And the school flourished both under the Indo-Greeks and the Kushnas. So then Sakas, they were thus replaced into Indo-Greeks. Scythians race means Central Asia. Central Asia regions extended from the Caspian Sea in the west to the border of West China in the east. It is bounded on the north by Russia and south of Iran, that Afghanistan and China. These are the Central Asia. And today we'll tell about where the Central Asia, we can say it comprises of 5 former Soviet republics: Kyrgyzstan, Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan, and Turkmenistan and Uzbekistan also. But I'm just giving you the knowledge just to learn about Central Asia. And the political domains was Mathura, Ujjain, the places where the administration was there. Ujjain, Taxila, Malwa and Kathiawar. Rudraraman I was the famous king at that time. And after that, Sudeshna Lake, Guj Pathanias came from Iran. These all persons came from Iran. And they replaced Saka in northwest. Gondopharans, that the famous king that time. So the Sakas were the nomadic tribes. Nomadics are those who are moving from one place to another place in search of shelter, food and fodder for the animals. They were of Central Asia. They replaced the Indo-Greeks. Earlier, who were there in India? Indo-Greeks. And who replaced them? Sakas. They replaced the Indo-Greeks and established what they established themselves as Taxila and Mathura, means in Uttar Pradesh. After that, after Indo-Greeks, who came? Sakas. They continued to rule till about the 4th century. First, who were there? Indo-Greek means 200 BC, and after that, Sakas 150 BC, and that the age of Sangha literature. We'll talk about that. The most famous of the Saka ruler was Rudraraman. Time period 130 to 152 CE. His personal and military achievements are highlighted in the famous Junagadh, which is in now Gujarat, inscription written in 150 CE. So that time he did so many achievements in the military. He was very powerful. And that's why he was very famous for these military achievements. So this is written in the inscriptions, written on the walls, written on the monuments in Gujarat, Junagadh. At that time, Surdesena was the famous. So after that, Kushnas. First, who were there? Indo-Greeks. After that, Sakas, then Kushnas. The Saka was succeeded by the Kushnas, who belonged to the Yuhichi tribe, living in the neighborhood of China. I told you about Central Asia. So the Kushnas rulers minted large amount of gold coins, means molding the coins, establishing the coins. They also started the practice of carving the portrait of rulers on the coins. Earlier you have talked about the punch marked coin. The pictures are punched on the coins. In same way, they are carving, making, molding the portrait of the great king on the rulers on the coin. So that time, most powerful of 5 Juchi tribes of Central Asia, means from China, control lower Indus basin, upper and middle Gangetic basins. Then after that, Kanishka. So we'll talk about Kanishka. The most popular of the Kushnas ruler was Kanishka. The Kushnas empire at the peak at that time, popular, extended to Sanchi in Madhya Pradesh and to Varanasi in Uttar Pradesh. The first capital of Kanishka was as Purushpura near modern Peshawar, which is in Pakistan. Mathura was also an important center of the Kushnas. It appears to have been the second capital. So Mathura is the second capital and first capital is the Kanishka, whose Kushnas empire. So during the reign of Kanishka, that time the ruler of the Kanishka, the Mathura school of art flourished in Mathura. It is also created images of Buddha and Bodhisattvas related to the Buddha. Kanishka was one of the great patterns, gave contribution in spread of Buddhism. He organized the 4th Buddhist Council and helped to spread Buddhism to Central Asia and China. So Ashwagosha, a poet in his court, Ashwagosha is the name of a poet who is in working in or singing or reciting the poems in the kingdom of Kanishka, composed Buddha Charita, a biography of Buddha, a life about the Buddha, teaching about Buddha. He was reciting that poems only. After that, his successor continued to rule till 230 century, but the Kushana power gradually declined and they were replaced by the Sassanids of Iran. See what happened? Earlier we talked about Indo-Greeks, then after that who came? Sakas, and after that Kushnas, then Kanishkas. And after that, after Kushnas and Kanishkas, the Sassanians of Iran. Kanishka is said to have started the Saka era in 78th century, and this calendar used by the government of India. That period's calendar now also used by the government of India, and they mint the gold coin of Kanishka, the rulers of the Kanishka, the pictures of the rulers of the Kanishkas on that. I'll show you. See, you can see in this picture, minted coin, the rulers, the portraits of the rulers are minted on that, and this is the places of the Central Asia. Stabhana is also there. So who were Stabhanas? So Stabhanas were the powerful ruler in the Deccan, also known as the Andhras. Their capital was Prasthana, that modern Pethan in Maharashtra now. Now this place is in Maharashtra. The most important ruler of Stabhanas were Gautami Putra Stakarni. An inscription engraved on the entrance to a cave at Nasik, means engraved on the hard surface that has cut down and gave shape. It was placed on the entrance of the cave at Nasik, that is in Maharashtra, provides us details and about the spread, the extent of his kingdom, at which line his kingdom has spread, and the events of his reign. What had happened during his reign? Whose reign? Stabhanas and his kingdom, and the event of this reign. Under the ruler of Gautamiputra Stakarni, the Stavana rule extended over Andhra Pradesh. Earlier, where was that? Maharashtra, then Andhra Pradesh as well. There also seems to be constant rivalry between the Sakas of West India and the Stavanas. And they both were fighting, means their competition between among both whose Sakas of West Indies and Stavanas. The Stavanas were, that is of the known as the Lords of Dakshinputra, the important trade route leading to South India. We can say Dakshinputra, there where they were doing trade in South India. So all about, we talk about Sangam literature. So students, Sangam means assemblies. The Sangam literature is considered to be earliest known as Tamil work, composed between 200 BC and 300 century. And these books, these texts, written books were composed by, who was written that and who was composed, whose accounts were there? Poets, those who were under that Stavana rules, Sangam rules. Assemble in the colleges means held assemblies in the college. Whose assemblies? Poets' assemblies. These assemblies was helped by the kings and chiefs, those who were ruling in that kingdom, and these assemblies helped these kings and chiefs. Such assemblies were called Sangam. So what are the Sangam means? Assemblies of the poets. And the meeting point. And literature, the work, written work of the poets produced in these assemblies were known as Sangam literature. Sangam is assemblies and Sangam literature means the work which, who had composed? Poets, those who were singing or reciting in the court of kings. Kushnas, kings. And these such Sangams are mentioned to have been held Madurai, the Pandya's capital. So we'll talk about also Pandya, Cheras and Cholas first. Again, I will give you little bit revision what we had talked about today. About first, we have related to the previous chapter Mauryan empires and this broken down of the small dynasties. Then who came? Indo-Greeks were already there and they expanded their kingdom there. And after that, after Indo-Greeks, who came? Sakas. And after Sakas, Kushnas. And after Kushnas and Krishnas, Stabhanas. Stabhanas are from Maharashtra and they expanded their territory till where? Just now we have talked about where? Andhra Pradesh. And after that in South India. And now we are talking about the Sangam literature, about the Sangam literature that is in South India, where during this period the South India saw the emergence of three kingdoms in the area. South of river Krishna, the three kingdoms were Cheras, Cholas and the Pandyas. These kingdoms established strong trading contacts, business contacts with the Roman Empire. We get information about these kingdoms from Sangam literature. So from where we get this information? This is written in the Sangam literature. Just now I talked about Sangam literature means when there were assemblies held by the poets in front of kings and the rulers and the chiefs, and the poems were composed, the things were composed, written texts were composed by the poets, and through these we are getting the information of the Sangam literature and about the these kingdoms about Pandyas, Cheras and Cholas. Cholas, Cheras and Pandyas. See, you can see now the place. You can view the map also. We talk about Pandyas. The Pandyas ruled in the area around Madurai, which was their capital. The most important port city kingdom was Kauraki. The Sangam literature refers to one or two Pandya kings. The Pandyas were prosperous on account of their trading contact with the Roman Empire. They were very popular, they were very prosperous about the trading contacts. आपस में ट्रेड करते थे. With whom? With the Roman Empire. They were doing the business with the Roman Empire. And about Cholas and Sheras we talk about. First, Pandyas. The Pandyas ruled in the area around Madurai, which was their capital. The most important port city of the kingdom was Kauraki. The Sangam literature refers to one or two Pandyas kings. The Pandyas were prosperous on account of their trading contact with the Roman Empire. Now the Cholas. The Chola king known as Cholamandalam was situated in the Kaveri Delta. Their capital city was Uyar. The most important port was Puhar of Kaveri Patnam. Karikal was one of the most famous Chola rulers of that period. Now, Sheras. The Shera ruler over Kerala and the part of Tamil Nadu, they were also known as Kerala Putras. Their capital city was Banji. Mujris was the chief port of the Shera kingdom, and it was here where the Romans had set up their post. The Romans had made their post there for purpose of business purpose, for trading purpose. They have made their things for business purpose. So today we had talked about Sangam literature, both Pandyas, Cholas and Cheras. We get all this information from the literature of the Sangam, assemblies of the poets which were held in the colleges and schools. And who helped them? Kings were helped them to by writing these accounts, and we got all the information from these accounts. So earlier I told you Gandhara was ancient kingdom. After that Sakas came. Okay, I'll show you map again. Just see map. About Pandyas, about Chola, and this south India. We are talking about this Pandyas, about Tamil Nadu, coastal regions. They made their trading centers, and they were doing trade with Romans. The Chola Empire stretches from the island of Sri Lanka in the south to the Godavari Krishna river bases in the north. Over the Konkan coast, we call the Malabar coast. And Chola dynasty, South Indian Tamil rulers. See here Cholas. River Valley. No, Trichinapalli we can say. Uriyar we are saying now new name is Trichinapalli. It was its oldest capital. Now I'm going to share video in front of you.
Since time immemorial, India had contacts with the outside world through traders, conquerors, and missionaries. Indian products were traded to other countries for gold and silver. Traders often carried these goods through sea and land. As traders journeyed to these distant lands in caravans and ships, pilgrims often traveled with them due to safety reasons. Let us learn and understand about how Buddhism spread within and outside India, and how it attained popularity in these regions. Rulers like Ashoka and Kanishka sent Buddhist missionaries within and outside India to countries like Sri Lanka, China, and Central Asia. In all these regions, Buddhism acquired a large following, and many Buddhist monasteries and statues were built. Through the Silk Route, through which Chinese silk was transported to Mediterranean region, Mahayana Buddhism spread and became very popular in Central Asia, China, Korea, and Japan. Theravada, or older Buddhism, spread and became popular in Southeast Asian regions of Sri Lanka, Myanmar, Thailand, Indonesia, etc. Buddhism spread to western and southern India, where, in Western Ghats, Buddhist hill caves were carved out by merchants and farmers, or at a king or queen's orders. Buddhist monks resided in these caves. Buddhist Sangha members traveled within and outside India to spread Buddhism. Even non-Sangha Buddhist members, called Upasakas, helped in spreading Buddhism. Buddhist viharas or universities attracted foreign students from distant lands who later returned to their homelands to spread Buddhism. Chinese Buddhist pilgrims like Fa Jian, Xuanzang, and Ai Jing visited India to study Buddhist texts, meet Buddhist scholars, and then carry them back to China. They wrote accounts of their journeys to India.
Yes, students, if you have any question about this, please you can ask about this chapter. If you have any question, raise your hand, students. I'll give your answer. Yes, students. Students, yes, Udita Mahajan. Just a minute. Yes, yes, Udita.
Can you explain about Kanishka again?
Okay. You want again explanation of Kanishka? Yes, why not? Kanishka is the most popular of the Kushana rulers. I told you about Indo-Greeks after Saka, then Kushana. So Kushana is the most popular of Kushana ruler was Kanishka. The Kanishka was the name of the king of which center, that is Kushnas. And Kushna's empire means kingdom. That time very popular. And where it has spread to Sanchi. Sanchi is a place in Madhya Pradesh and Varanasi in Uttar Pradesh. In two places his ruler had spread, and its capital Kanishka was at, and first capital of Kanishka was Purushpura and near modern Peshawar, and Mathura was the second capital, second center of the Kushana. First was Purushpura and second was Mathura, and Mathura is the second capital. And what happened when his ruler was there? The Mathura school of art flourished at Mathura. It also created images. Art means to have to draw with your hands, create images, mold, carving on the hard surface, means on the wood or on the stone. It also created images of Buddha and Bodhisattvas. Buddha means, you know about Buddha, Lord Buddha, we are saying about his, and those who are following the Buddha, Bodhisattvas. And Kanishka was one of the great helper. Patrons means helper, gave contribution to spread the Buddhism. And he organized the 4th Buddhist Council and helped to spread Buddhism. Means he helped to spread the Buddhism where? To Central Asia and China. Gave contribution. And Ashwagosha, a poet in his court. What is the name of the poem? Ashwagosha. Composed Buddha Charitra, means about life of Buddha. And when we compose, we say something about the life of other person. We are saying biography. That's biography of Buddha. And after his successor continued to till about 230 century. And after that, his successor came after that of his rulers only. Kushna's rulers only came after that. Okay, understood?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Mute yourself. Yes, Ashley? Yes?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, beta, ask question.
Ma'am, can you explain me Kushnas?
Kushna, just now I told you, na? The Saka was succeeded by the Kushnas. Means earlier who were there? Sakas. And who replaced the Sakas? Kushnas. Kushna ने Saka को जीत लिया तो कुशना बन गए रूलर्स. ओके, तो वो कहां
Okay, ma'am.
वो कहां से बिलोंग करते थे? चाइना से, our neighboring country. Okay, and their work, what they have molded the coins. What they have molded on the coins? The portrait of the rulers of that time. Did you get? Ashley, did you get?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, and they were doing business with the Central Asia and came to control. और इसके साथ साथ उन्होंने और भी ट्रेड्स को कंट्रोल कर दिया. Silk route business, because they are coming here to get the silk. We talk about Silk route afterwards. Okay, we have done the
Okay,
only
ma'am.
one part of the chapter. We talk about the Silk route,
Yes.
what they were doing the business about the silk. Yes, Ashley, mute yourself. And Hina, yes, Hina, what do you want, Hina? Very good afternoon, dear.
Ma'am, I am not able to understand who were Indo-Greeks.
Okay, you just recall previous chapter. Just recall previous chapter when Indo-Greeks came to India. Who had called them? Can you tell me? Can you tell me when they invited? Which king has invited them at that time? Can anybody tell? Please raise your hand about that Indo-Greeks. I have explained twice, thrice. So who will tell me? When they invited, when there was Bindusara, Ashoka, great Ashoka. So Supriya, can you? Okay. They were earlier there only. Wait. Yes, Supriya?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you tell me about previous chapter?
In the previous chapter,
Greeks were came. Yes.
Empire. He was the first Mauryan Empire was Chandragupta Maurya, and he has invited the Indo-Greeks.
They were invited to territory across the river Indus, and they were the ambassador Megasthenes living in the Mauryan court. They were earlier living. They were already living there. And who replaced them? And who replaced them?
Saka.
Okay, now I'll talk to Hina first because she has asked the question. Thank you, Supriya. Hina,
Yes, ma'am.
no, you know about Greeks?
Yes.
How they
Yes, ma'am,
became
I do.
Indo-Greeks when they started living in India.
India.
And we gave them name Indo-Greeks. And who replaced them?
Ma'am, Sakas.
Very good. Now you understood? Okay,
Yes,
Supriya,
ma'am.
you have question? Hina, mute yourself. Yes, Supriya, you have question?
Yes, ma'am.
Ask me.
Ma'am, I was not able to understand about the Pandyas.
Okay, who were Pandyas? See, I was talking about Sangam literature. And there were the rulers. We were talking about the three rulers, Pandyas, Cholas and Sheras. And the Pandyas, they ruled across the around the Madurai. They were the rulers of the Sangam literature. When the Sangam literature flourished that time, he was the ruler. Pandyas were the rulers. Did you understand, Supriya? Pandyas
Yes,
were ruling that time, and they were doing trading business with the Roman empires, outsiders. Did you get?
Okay, ma'am.
Any other girl
Yes,
has to
ma'am.
ask question? Please raise your hand. Girls, please raise your hand. Nobody? So can I ask now you question? Only 5 minutes are left. I'll ask you questions now. Can anybody tell me the names of the most famous Indo-Greek rulers? Who was the most famous Indo-Greek ruler? Raise your hand. Yes, Hina? Yes, Hina, please give me answer.
Ma'am, the most famous Indo-Greek ruler was Mililinda.
Melinda, but other name also Menander or Melinda. What? Speak with me.
Menander or Melinda.
Melinda, yes. Good. Now, Supriya.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. What was the name of the school which were developed at the time of the Indo-Greeks?
Ma'am, Gangadhar School.
Gandhara. What? Speak.
Gandhara School.
Yes. Okay. And my next question is, can anybody tell us about Sakas? Who were Sakas? Who were Sakas? Please raise your hand. Ashley, yes, Ashley, very good. Who were Sakas?
Ma'am, Sakas were the nomadic tribes of the Central Asia. They replaced the Indo-Greeks and established themselves at Taxila. The most famous of the Saka rulers was Rudraraman.
Yes. Why he was
Ma'am,
famous? Where did he work? That's why he was famous. Because of his military achievements. Because of his military achievements. Thank you, Ashley. Very good. Okay, Pavni, you also want to give answer. Give me answer, Pavni. Yes, Pavni, give me answer about Sakas. Your voice is not coming. Loudly.
Ma'am, Sakas was the nomadic tribes of Central Asia.
Yes, very good. What do you mean by tribes? What do you mean by tribes? Do you know the meaning of tribes? Nomadic tribes. What's the meaning of nomads? Nomadic tribes.
That man that travels from one area to another area.
For what purpose? For shelter, for home, food, fodder for the animals, rearing to their animals. Yes, very good. Pavni, very good. Okay. Can anybody tell about Kushnas? Who were Kushnas? Please, students, raise your hands. Yes, you tell Supriya. Others also has to raise the hand. You people are not raising hands. Yes,
Yes.
Supriya. Tell me
The
about.
Kushnars belong to the Yuchi tribe living in the neighborhood of China. The Kushnar ruler minted large amount of gold coins. They also started the practice of carving the portrait of rulers on the coins. The Kushnars were instrumental in encouraging India's trade with Central Asia and came to control the most important trade route, namely the Silk Route.
Yes, very good. So, students, you have to read the chapter and underline important points, make short notes, and please maintain your notebooks. Okay? So, for today, This is enough. So I am going to end up the class. So student, bye-bye. Have a nice day. Good afternoon.